My name is John Smale. I'm the Dean of University College. And I want to, on behalf of the whole university, welcome you all to UNC Charlotte. What I'm going to talk to you about today is general education. And also, you'll hear a little bit at the end of this session about academic advising. Now, when I use the term general education, I'm referring to the part of the degree requirements that ensures that when you graduate, you have a broad, well-rounded college education. And I know a lot of folks think about general education as something that is, oh, I've got to do that on the way. You know, you've come here to do engineering, you've come here to do graphic design, you've come here to do political science, whatever it is you're planning to major in, and you think the general education is just this other stuff that I got to do that I don't want to mess with. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why general education is important and how it fits into the overall academic experience you're going to have at this university. I will also give you a brief overview of the general education curriculum at UNC Charlotte, so you kind of get that 10,000-foot look around to understand what the basic requirements are. And the other thing I will do, and I know as transfer students you're really, really interested in this question, so I'm going to leave it to last, is to tell you how we handle your transfer credits for general education, because that's obviously you put some time and effort into your previous academic experience at a university or community college, and you want to make sure you leverage that to the best advantage here at UNC Charlotte. And so I'll tell you a little bit about how that works so you can kind of be equipped for that discussion. But again, as I said, to start out, I want to talk about the question about why general education is important and what value it has for you. And I'm going to start by asking you a question. Why are you here? I mean, why have you come to UNC Charlotte to, and with the intent of getting a degree? Now, my guess is that if I was to actually get you in small groups and ask you to answer this question, two kinds of answers would emerge. One would be about, I'm here to get a degree. The other is I'm here to get some kind of prepare myself for a career or for a job, right? So sort of, and I want to suggest that both of those answers, whether it's the getting a degree or getting a job, are a kind of narrow vision of what the value of university is. So we could talk about getting a job, preparing for a career, but really what you're here for is getting an education. And I want to hammer that home. If you think about university primarily as job training, primarily as the degree, what you're missing is the purpose, what it is that having a degree, how that prepares you for the job. And that's this idea of an education. Well, what is an education? What's critical about the education you get at university, and particularly what's critical about a college education that makes it such a valuable leg up in your career? All the data continues to suggest that having a college degree is a best guarantee of higher earning potentials, higher quality of life, all sorts of other things. But what is it about that education that gives you that? I want to suggest that it's not learning stuff. A lot of times you've asked people what education is, they think about, oh, it's learning X, Y, and Z. You know, learning the quadratic formula, learning what happened in the War of 1812, learning how blood vessels work, I don't know, whatever the case may be. But I want to suggest to you that stuff is, in a sense, unimportant. You guys all have in your pockets right now, assuming most of you have smartphones, access to more information, more stuff than you could possibly use in a lifetime, right? You're not short of having knowledge about stuff. What you need, what an education requires, is the ability to use that information, to find the right information, to critically assess whether the information you found is valuable, whether it applies to the question you're trying to answer, the ability to see connections between information, and to then generate new ideas and new understanding, right? So education is not about stuff. Education is about pulling it together. So I want to change the tone here and talk about the value of general education specifically with regard to jobs. A lot of people, and for very good reasons, are at the university because they believe that getting a college education is the first step in having enhanced career prospects, and that's true. And you're thinking, I just want to learn more about this thing. I want to learn more. Why don't I spend time doing other stuff? I want to spend more time being great at graphic design. And here's the rub. When we ask employers what they're after in a college graduate, a UNC Charlotte graduate, what they talk about is a T-shaped individual. Think of a capital T, and that T-shaped metaphor The vertical bar of the T, what they're getting at is the in-depth knowledge you have in a major. That's absolutely important. You are going to learn stuff about a particular field of study, learn particular skills, information, and so forth that's valuable to employers when you graduate. But the breadth part of the T, the top part, is just as important to employers. They want folks who can communicate effectively, can think critically, can think creatively, can work collaboratively with other people. They want that breadth, and that breadth comes from general education. It comes from the ability to relay the specific knowledge you have, to communicate it with other people who come from different backgrounds, who have different kinds of knowledge, expertise, and so forth. So this general education is absolutely critical to the jobs you get when you graduate. This is actually some evidence of that. The American Association of Colleges and Universities did a survey a couple years ago asking employers across the nation, what are the top skills you're looking for in college graduates? And they compiled all those answers into this top 10 list. And the thing I want to point about this top 10 list is that you do not see up here the skills associated with any particular major. You don't see C++ programming in there. You don't see graphic design, right? They're not, if you think about what the skills are that employers value, it's not the specific skills in the major, because they can teach you that stuff. What they need are these things like problem solving, teamwork, adaptability, creativity, broad understandings of various kinds of things. That's the skills that employers value, and that's what you get from general education. Okay, so again, general education is a critical complement to the learning you do in the major, but it is a critical part of your educational experience. Okay, that's the why. Let me move on to the what, and in particularly, what does general education look like at UNC Charlotte? General education at UNC Charlotte has been divided into 4 main areas. The first of those areas is the fundamental skills of inquiry. It's got 2 parts. The first part is basic writing skills, and for most students that's taken 2 courses. You write 1101 and you write 1102. The second part is mathematics and logical reasoning. Again, 2 courses there. You must take 1 course in mathematics, and you must take a second course chosen from mathematics, statistics, or that philosophy class is deductive logic. The second part of general education is inquiry into the sciences. This one also has 2 parts. The first part covers what's called the natural sciences, or sometimes the hard sciences. You're going to take 2 courses in the natural sciences. One of them must have an associated laboratory course. The second, you must take 1 course in the social sciences. And in the case of both of these requirements, you must choose the courses from the ones listed up there on the screen. I know you can't read them and you're not going to learn them, but there's a specific set of courses that meet those requirements. I do have to make a very important point about this inquiry into the sciences, and this also applies to the mathematics to an extent as well. Some of you are looking at that screen and thinking, hey, I've done 2 general education science classes. I took geology and biology. I'm done. I don't have to take any more science. Well, you're done for general education, but you may be in a major that requires chemistry. Guess what? You're taking chemistry. So again, general education and the major overlap to a degree. So one critical question you need to ask an advisor this afternoon in your major is, how do the courses in the major and the courses in general education interlock with each other? If you need 1 additional science course and you need chemistry for your major, well, you can take 1 course, chemistry, and meet both of those requirements. And so you can be efficient by taking courses that meet both. But you have to ask the question and make sure you understand what your choices are. Third part of general education is the themes of liberal education for private and public life. You've all been at university. You probably had general education that looked like what I just showed you, 2 English, 2 math, 2 sciences, that kind of stuff. This part is the most unique to UNC Charlotte. What faculty have done is identified 4 themes that we think it's important for you to be exposed to during your time at the university, and we developed interdisciplinary courses, all with this LBST prefix around those themes. So the first theme is the arts and society theme. It's about the relationship between art and society. You are not going to dance in the LBST 1101 course. You're going to learn about how dancing interacts with the society in which it's embedded. The LBST 2101 and 2102 courses are about context. You must take 1 of each. The 2101 is about Western culture and historical awareness, so that's about understanding how the past relates to the present. And the 2102, the global understanding, is about how our society today interacts with other societies around the world. So it's about that relationship. And finally, the ethical and culture critique, the LBST 2211, 12, 13, etc. There's one of those 5, so you're going to take one of those 5 classes. And these are courses about critique, about exploring a complicated topic, typically one that doesn't have an easy right or wrong answer, and trying to understand how do you develop arguments, come to judgments on issues. So you're going to take 4 LBST courses, 1 from each one of these areas. The important point I may need to make about these courses is that when we teach college algebra, the Math 1100 class, which many of you may take this spring, all sections of it are pretty much the same. They kind of have to be, because if you take college algebra, you may go on to take statistics or pre-calculus, and you need to know some particular things. But the college sections of LBST 2101, we're probably offering 40 of them this coming spring. They're all different. Faculty, when they teach these LBST courses, are teaching about things that they know something about, reflecting their expertise. And so it's very important for you when you're choosing an LBST course to pick a particular section based on what's going to be taught in that section. If you take a section of LBST just because you have a friend in it, just because it's sort of open at the time you want to take it, and it's on a topic that you're not interested in, you're going to spend a very long semester trying to get through that material. So take the time. You can look in the online catalog as you go through this course schedule, figure out what the particular sections of LBST that you're looking at are, and work from there. I'd suggest, in fact, that as you build your schedule, if you need to take an LBST course this spring, start with that one first, schedule that in first, and then add the other ones later. Final part of general education is communication skills. These are really advanced communication skills. Most of you probably will not be taking any of these courses this coming spring, but you do need to finish them before you graduate. So you must take 2 courses that are designated as writing intensive. That's 2 3-credit courses, so a total of 6 credit hours. And one of those courses, 3 credits, must be in the major that you graduate in. And then secondly, you must take 1 course that's designated as oral communication. That meets this oral communication requirement. Do not think, looking at this slide, that you're only going to write in 2 classes that you take, or that you're only going to have discussion or have presentations in 1 class. You'll do a lot of writing. Writing is a critical part of how you learn stuff. It's just these are courses that are specifically designed to develop your oral and written communication skills. And finally, lastly, a footnote down at the bottom about foreign language. At many universities, foreign language is part of general education. Every student has to take foreign language in order to graduate. That is not true at UNC Charlotte. Some of you will not need to take any foreign language to graduate. Many of you will. And the question of whether you do or not depends upon the major in which you are graduating. So a second critical question to ask your advisor this afternoon is whether there is a foreign language requirement in your major, and what that foreign language requirement is, and what you're going to need to do in order to meet that foreign language requirement. So again, foreign language is not in Gen Ed, but it's attached to the major. Part 3, transfer credit. So again, you're all transfer students. You are critically interested in how your previous college credit applies to our requirements here at UNC Charlotte, so I want to talk quickly about this. Again, this can be a complicated thing. It's something for you to talk with your advisor about, but I want to give you that overview for you so you know where to start, you know what the questions are. And I do need to be very careful to emphasize that what I'm about to tell you applies to general education transfer credit. You may have similar questions about whether courses you took previously meet requirements in your major. That's a question you need to ask your advisor. That's question number 3 for your advisor, is about the major. But I can tell you about general education. So general education, we do it in one of 2 ways. First of all, some of you in this room are going to benefit from what we call the program level transfer credit. And specifically, if you completed an associate's degree at a North Carolina community college, you are exempt from the lower level general education requirements at UNC Charlotte. All you need to take is the writing intensive course in your discipline. That's also true if you completed the 44-hour core at a North Carolina community college. Some of you may have completed an associate's degree at a non-North Carolina community college, either other state or private one, and depending on the curriculum that you followed, you may also be given that general education exemption, but it depends the courses you took. Finally, a very small number of you may have completed what's known as an Associate of Applied Science degree. An Associate of Applied Science degree is not the same as the Associate of Arts or the Associate of Science degree at a North Carolina community college. However, if you are joining a formal 2+2 program at UNC Charlotte and you complete that program, then completing the package will complete your general education requirements. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, it probably doesn't apply. So that's a fairly small number of you for that. Much more common is transfer credit on a course-by-course basis. So if you came from a four-year institution, if you did not complete an associate's degree of any kind at the university, at a community college, we're going to handle your credit on a course-by-course basis. And we're going to do one of two things to give you general education credit. In some cases, the course you took is a direct equivalent of a course that meets a general education requirement here. If you took a course at a university or community college that's called college algebra, and we have determined that its content is the same as our college algebra class, you will get transfer credit for college algebra, Math 1100, and by virtue of that, you will have met the general education math requirement. Okay? So that's a direct equivalency, simple, straightforward. But there are also these things we call exemptions. So a lot of you have taken courses at community colleges that are like our general education course, but there's not a direct equivalent. And really, there's two big examples of these. One, you may have taken a course at a university for which we do not have a direct equivalent. A most common example, an introductory oceanography class. Students coming from coastal universities often take an oceanography class. It's a science class. We don't have one here. Does that mean you've wasted your time? No. We'll look at that class and we'll say that was a Gen Ed science class and we'll give you an exemption from one of our Gen Ed science requirements. The other way this works is if you took a class that does have a direct equivalent here, but there isn't, that course here doesn't meet a general education requirement, we want to give you the benefit of that as well. So if you took an introduction to U.S. history survey at another institution, that will transfer in here as U.S. History 1161 or 60 or 61. That course does not meet general education at UNC Charlotte, but we know you took that to meet a history style Gen Ed requirement, and so we'll give you an exemption from the LBST 2101. So there's two ways that we do this, equivalencies or exemptions. How the heck do you tell? These next two slides won't make any sense, but these are the tools that you can use with your advisor to figure out how your transfer credit has transferred. One is called the advising transcript. And so this is a thing you can look at in our online registration system, and it lists all the courses you took, and it shows you what the transfer equivalency was, and over there in the right-hand column it tells you if it provided an exemption. So that's one way. And then the second way is something called the CAP degree audit. And again, I know I'm not intending you to be able to read these, but this is a tool we have for checking your progress to meeting your graduation requirements. There's a section in the CAP degree audit that handles general education, and it will tell you whether you've met or not met particular areas of the general education curriculum. So two tools you can use to follow whether you've met and understand how your transfer credit has transferred in. Couple final points on that. First of all, appeals. You may have been listening carefully to what I've said and say, boy, I took a course that's like that global course. And you look at your transfer credit and you see that we didn't give you any credit for that. Okay, fair enough. We do a really good job evaluating transfer credit, but if you think you've taken a course that should meet one of our requirements, talk with your advisor. If your advisor agrees, you can submit an appeal. We'll look at the course that you took, and if it meets our requirements, we'll give you that. So we're always trying to find if we've got one. So make sure you ask the question if you think. I will say one thing. If you have a course from a North Carolina community college, that's kind of written in stone. North Carolina Community College, we are not going to reevaluate credit because we have really looked carefully through that curriculum and we know how that transfers. And then the second question is really important. How many of you are currently enrolled at a university? Handful of you. Those credits are not in our system. If you forgot to submit one of your transcripts, those credits are not in your system. So when you're talking to your advisor, who is the only person who knows all the courses you've taken? You guys. So you have to look at the transfer credit we have on file. If you see that something's missing, you need to ask the question. To be perfectly honest, the best we can do today is make an educated guess. I'm taking this now, I'm going to pass, okay. Doesn't make sense to take that in the spring because if you do pass, you won't need it, but we don't until all the transcripts are in and we know how it evaluates, we don't know for sure. So we can make educated guesses today, but you have to drive that process because all the advisor sees are the transfer credits that's already been processed by our admissions office, okay? That's number 4 for your advisor today. So I want to finish up here. The key things about this, what I've said to you and what I really do want you to take home, if you don't remember anything else besides this and the Dalmatian, I've done my job, is this thing about informing yourself. You need to understand these general education requirements. You have to understand how they work, what you've done, what you need to do. You need to have a plan to complete your gen ed courses. You may not finish your gen ed in the spring. That's fine. You may not finish them next fall. That's fine, as long as there's a plan, as long as you've understood what you're going to take when so that you get out of here. And I want to add to that, if you guys do not have, after you talk to your advisor today, a plan for how long you're going to be at this university, how many semesters till you graduate, you're setting yourself up for trouble. So make sure as you talk to your advisor that you say, okay, I've got to take this and this and this, and this course requires that course, this, right? And you've got a plan, and it's going to take me 5 semesters to graduate, right? It's going to be different for all of you. Transfer students come from lots of different places. You're completing lots of degrees, so you have to do that plan. Nobody else can really do it for you. But make sure you have that plan. Make sure you stick to that plan, that you evaluate, reevaluate, and adjust that plan as necessary. Because the key thing is if you spend an extra semester here because there's requirements you forgot, it's going to run you 10 grand. That's the average cost of attendance, tuition, room and board, housing. You know, that's an average, but it's a lot of money. And if you are not paying attention to your plan and you end up needing another semester because you forgot something or you didn't realize that this needed a prerequisite, it's $10,000 down the hole. So have a plan, work on that plan, keep evaluating that plan because that's your way to make sure that you maximize the potential of your time here at the university. By the way, most of you are going to take 12 hours because you think that's full time. You're paying for 15. Students who take 15 hours do better on average than students who take 12 hours. We recommend taking 15 hours. If you're working a lot of hours outside of class, above 15 or so, you need to be very careful. But again, we recommend that you think carefully about how you're investing the time you're going to spend here, what you're going to spend your money on, and plan that efficient path to graduation so that you get out of here, not just with that degree, but with that great education that you came here for. And you got to make it happen. Nobody else, you're responsible, you have to make that happen. All right, that's all I got for you. I'm now going to turn this over to Howard Sims. Howard Sims is the Director of Transfer Advising in the University Advising Center. There he is. And he is going to talk to you a little bit about how advising works at this university. You'll see these posters up. We found the secrets for doing awesome at UNC Charlotte, but one of those secrets, maybe the most important, is to work with your academic advisor. So Howard will tell you how that works. Thank you and best of luck.
Good afternoon. My name is Howard Sims. I'm the Associate Director for Transfer Students in University College. So I'm representing all of the academic homes here on campus. So as you all finish the afternoon, you will eventually meet your academic home and prepare for the spring semester. Highly encourage you to start to learn who that academic advisor is. Some of you will actually meet in group sessions. Quite a few of you will meet in individual sessions. But if you meet in a group session, I encourage you to make sure that you find out who your advisor is, start to build a relationship with that person, so as you are here over the next year or so, you can start to learn the transition here at UNC Charlotte. So as you can see, all of our academic programs, all of our colleges have an academic advising home, a place for you. So the art and architecture, Belk College of Business, computing and informatics, that also includes software and information systems, College of Education, Engineering, Health and Human Services, Liberal Arts and Sciences. For those of you all who have UCall or University College on the back of your ID, That is for those students who are undeclared, not necessarily undecided. You may know the major that you might want to pursue, but we also serve as a transitional home. So if you're currently in a major and you recognize that this is not going to be the major for you, you can still come to us and we will support you through your advising transition. So today, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to meet with your college. Some of you will meet with an advisor one-on-one, some will be in small group or even large group sessions depending on the college today, and then you're going to develop a plan for the spring semester. So you will hear this once and you'll hear it multiple times today. Try to just relax and understand that you're coming in as a transfer student. Some of these courses may not readily be available, some may be available depending on your program, but we will work and help you to try to make sure that we develop a schedule for you that will work during your spring semester. And if you can't do anything else, make sure that you obtain your actual academic advisor for the spring semester, because some of you may meet with an advisor, but it won't necessarily be the person who's assigned to you in the fall semester, or excuse me, the spring semester. So for those of you who are less than 30 hours, you're a transfer freshman or right at a transfer sophomore status, you're going to be required to meet with your advisor until you at least meet 30 credit hours. Depending on your major, you may meet with that academic home every semester. I go ahead and already encourage you to meet with your advisor, if not every semester, even if they don't put holds on you, at least once a year, so that you make sure that you're on track to make sure that you're graduating, because the worst feeling in the world is to go a whole semester, a whole year, and realize you're taking classes you don't necessarily need. So you want to make sure you're on the right pace. So depending on your major, again, you may be assigned an academic advising appointment every semester. Prepare for your advising session today. I hope that most of you have come with an understanding, hopefully, of the major that you want to pursue, the courses that you will hopefully want to take. But I also encourage you, if you are currently in classes this semester, which I'm assuming almost all of you are, already start thinking of what those courses are. So in the event when you get in front of your advisor today and your current fall semester is still in progress, we can't see that until grades are posted. So already start thinking about the classes that you're currently taking, because we can project or help you to project with that in mind. So in the future, what you want to do is make sure you're familiar with the degree plan that you are opting into, that you have a full understanding of the courses that are required for you and their prerequisites. You also want to make sure that you set your advising appointment early. One of the biggest things that happens with our transfers is you already are coming in late because our students already registered a few weeks ago. Don't wait in February or March to set your advising appointment in the spring, because then what will happen is you'll be behind again in August, and that will be more frustrating. So make sure you pay attention to when your advising appointments roll around and set those early if you need to. And we also ask you and encourage you to take and ask questions. So if anything is not clear, especially today, if you're unclear of what your advisor is breaking down, because we have the knowledge, and sometimes it might be common sense to us or just a second nature to us, we're going to throw around a lot of acronyms. We're going to have course numberings that are different from your current institution. If you're not sure, please ask, and ask until you know that you are comfortable with the information that you are receiving. Okay? And we also want you to become involved with your academics. So at any point in time something doesn't sound clear, be like, wait a minute, I already took that class. Question it and and make sure that you are not repeating a course that you may already have credit for. Now, one thing we really want you to do is that you also have an expectation from your advisor to make sure you're receiving accurate information. There are a lot of policies and procedures that are completely different from your previous institution. Yes, you know college, and you heard Dr. Smale mention this. You are seasoned college students, but you are not familiar with UNC Charlotte and our procedures. We want to make you familiar with them, but if anything is confusing or sounds similar from your previous institution, double check and make sure that you know exactly how it works. Some of the policies that are in effect now is a withdrawal policy. Some of you, if your previous institution, you can withdraw from classes at any point in time and it didn't affect you. Now at UNC Charlotte and actually all the four-year state institutions, you have a maximum of 16 hours. That's one of the biggest policies that's in place. So you have to pay attention to deadlines and policies. We want to make sure that advisors give you current and accurate information to their majors. So if curriculum changes, if they happen while you're here, you need to be aware of them, because once you are declared, you're pretty much, for the most part, locked into that curriculum until you graduate. But if you change majors, you have to understand that sometimes your curriculum or your responsibilities, maybe even for foreign language, might change depending on your program. And we want to make sure that you access the resources on campus. They're already built into your campus fees, your learning fees. Utilize those resources, the tutoring services, the Writing Resources Center, the Counseling Center if you need. Make sure you maximize using those resources so that you're successful. Okay? And we want to make sure that we empower you to know the classes that you need to graduate in a timely manner. Niner Advisor, this is our online advising system. We are currently using an online registration so that we as academic advisors can post our availability come February, March, April. Then you can match it with your current flexibility. I know the text is really small on here, but I encourage you to learn how to set your appointment, because most transfers, the people who call and say, oh, I really want to make an appointment, you have to make sure that you know that we're using Niner Advisor so that you can match your work schedule, your class schedule to our availability. And the worst thing is to come up 6 weeks into registration and then you realize you haven't used the right system to set your appointment. Okay? Please become familiar and comfortable with checking your UNC Charlotte email. That's how the university, financial aid, all of your official communication will come through UNC Charlotte. I encourage you to also reply and respond to UNC Charlotte, because we get a lot of students who will clone their university email to their Gmail or some other account, and then they will email into the university or to their professor, and you'll have a lot of professors who will ignore that because you have to log into UNC Charlotte's email to authenticate that you are the person that they are communicating with, especially with FERPA rules and your academic progression. A couple of lasting thoughts. This is one of the biggest things that I want you to leave with before you walk away. Recognize that, yes, you got into UNC Charlotte with your previous progress. Your GPA is what got you here, but recognize that as a transfer student, your GPA starts over in January. You will start fresh. It doesn't mean you lose your credits, but this first semester becomes your new operating GPA, so you can recreate yourself or maintain the great GPA that you've already established. So if you got here with a 2.3, 2.4, I encourage you to start this semester where you can start off with a 4.0, 3.75. That's your new operating GPA for scholarships and everything else. So use this opportunity to, springboard your last couple of years out of UNC Charlotte.
Our first policy is good academic standing. To remain in good academic standing as an undergraduate, all students must maintain a cumulative grade point average of at least 2.0. An undergraduate student whose term GPA is below 2.0 in the semester of evaluation is given a semester warning. This indicates potential academic problems and is communicated to the student as well as the student's academic advisor and major department. However, these semester warnings do not appear on the student's permanent academic record. An undergraduate student whose cumulative GPA is below 2.0 is placed on academic probation. This status is noted on the student's permanent academic record with the semester of evaluation and will continue until the next evaluation opportunity. An undergraduate student on academic probation whose cumulative GPA remains below a 2.0 at the next evaluation is suspended from the university. If the student's GPA for that semester is at least a 2.3, the student will simply remain on academic probation. Academic suspension is also noted on the student's permanent academic record. The UNC Charlotte Code of Student Academic Integrity sets forth the standards for students at our university and describes attendant faculty responsibilities. Students and faculty members are expected to be familiar with its contents. All students, including transient students from other institutions enrolled in courses given by UNC Charlotte, are bound by the rules, regulations, and responsibilities. When transient students are found guilty of violating the code, UNC Charlotte may notify the student's permanent institution. The code defines student behavior which violates the standards. Section 3. The Code of Student Academic Integrity explicitly states the penalties for violations and the circumstances under which such penalties may be imposed. Section 4. Section 5 sets forth the procedures for dealing with cases where a violation of the Code of Student Academic Integrity is alleged. Those procedures permit a faculty member to address a student's first violation through discussion with the student. If the student freely admits the offense and accepts the penalty assigned by the faculty member, an agreement settling the matter is signed by both. The faculty member imposes the penalty and the matter ends. Section 5A. If UNC Charlotte records show that the student has previously committed an academic integrity violation, or if the student decides not to admit guilt or accept a penalty, or if the faculty member believes that the seriousness of the offense warrants a more severe penalty than those which may be imposed in the settlement process, the matter must be referred to the UNC Charlotte Academic Integrity Board if any penalty is to be imposed. Section 5B. A student found guilty may appeal from the hearing panel's determination. Section 5D. Generally, when a student enters UNC Charlotte, all rights afforded to parents under FERPA are transferred to the student, and the student's written consent is then required for the disclosure of his or her educational records. However, FERPA also provides ways in which schools may share information with parents without the student's consent. For example, the university may disclose education records to parents if the student is a dependent for income tax purposes or if a health or safety emergency involves their student. The university may inform parents if the student who is under the age of 21 has violated any law or its policy concerning the use or possession of alcohol or a controlled substance. And a university official may generally share information with a parent that is based on that official's personal knowledge or observation of the student. For more information on the disclosure of student educational records to parents, please see University Policy 402, Student Records, or you may contact the Office of the Registrar, located here in the King Building, or the Office of Legal Affairs. Students are expected to complete all courses for which they are registered at the end of the add-drop period. These courses will appear in your transcript, count as attempted hours, and also receive a grade that will be used in GPA calculations, except for withdrawals allowed under this policy. Every student is allowed a few opportunities to withdraw from any course for any reason and receive a grade of W, subject to the following conditions. The deadline to withdraw from one or more courses is 60% of the way through the term. The precise date for each term will be published in the academic calendar. After this deadline, withdrawal will only be allowed for approved extenuating circumstances. Students who experience serious extenuating circumstances, which include but are not limited to personal medical crisis or military deployment, may petition for a withdrawal that does not count against your career W limit. Now, policies and procedures should be attained through the Dean of Students Office, who is responsible for communicating and developing these strategies in accordance with specific academic colleges. Students are expected to petition during the term when the crisis begins. And if they're approved, these courses do not count against your GPA or your tuition surcharge calculations. However, if denied, the student still may be eligible for withdrawal under the policy for withdrawal without extenuating circumstances. The add-drop period is the time during which students may add or drop courses without a record or academic penalty, also known as the course adjustment period. To drop a course means to cancel enrollment in a course before the published add-drop deadline, also the 8th instructional day of fall or spring semesters. To withdraw means to cancel enrollment in a course after the add-drop period, but before the published withdrawal deadline, so during the 9th week of fall or spring semesters, and you will also receive a grade of W. The W limit hours is the maximum number of credit hours, currently 16, for which students are allowed to receive a grade of W over their academic careers. Your academic career is the period during which a student is working at this institution towards the completion of one or more bachelor's degrees. Serious extenuating circumstances are personal situations that, upon administrative approval, allow students to withdraw late, if necessary, and to receive WE grades that do not count against their W limit hours. Tuition surcharge is an extra charge on attempted hours beyond a specific career limit, as detailed in the Office of the Registrar's website. To declare a major or minor, you must complete the change of major-minor form, available from advising centers around campus. Once it is approved by your academic advisor, they can send it to the Office of the Registrar for processing. Prior to changing your major or minor, students are asked to consider not only the time it will take to reach your degree, but also the specific cost to the student. An undergraduate student can change degree programs or specific areas of academic concentration as long as there is space available. However, you must meet the prerequisites for the new program as well as complete the change of major-minor form as mentioned before. Students who are entering the university without a specific field of study are classified as undeclared until you officially declare a major. However, you're not alone. Between 2,000 and 2,500 students are undeclared in any given semester. and students who are undeclared have a unique opportunity to explore various academic and career options. For academic advising, visit the University Advising Center. Students can visit the University Center for Academic Excellence for help with exams, note-taking, study skills, time management, and more. Their programs include, but are not limited to, supplemental instruction, building educational strengths and talents, students obtaining success, the Learning Lab, and Study Smarter workshops. Our peer tutoring program provides individualized help and support for students in courses such as economics, mathematics, statistics, accounting, and more. Our staff is made up of students who excel in the areas of which they provide service and who also enjoy helping others achieve academic success. The Writing Resource Center, located in our Cameron building, provides one-on-one writing instruction from first year to graduate students in any discipline. The main goal is not to fix papers for students, but to help develop better writers. The center also helps with online tutoring, which extends instruction past daytime hours in order to better accommodate our non-traditional and distance education students. The Office of Multicultural Academic Services exists to provide academic support services that foster the recruitment, retention, and graduation of students, especially underrepresented students at UNC Charlotte. Services include, but are not limited to, academic advising, academic issues workshops, peer and personal counseling, and tutoring. The office also serves as a clearinghouse for information and referrals to other university resources and academic support services.
Course registration. To register for your classes, go to my.uncc.edu. Once you get to that page, you're going to input your NinerNet credentials. Hit Look Up Classes to add. Select your current term and search our course catalog for which course you're looking for, and then hit Course Search. Hit View Sections. If there's a C on the far left, that means the course is closed. If there's an open box, that means the class is available for you to register. M stands for Monday, T stands for Tuesday, W stands for Wednesday, R stands for Thursday, and F stands for Friday. Once you found your available class, hit an open checkbox. Now you officially have your schedule.